tune into First Round Fantasy, you're talking to some guys who make it to the championship.
Welcome on into the First Round Fantasy Podcast, your home for second round advice. I got some familiar faces with me today. Gabriel Maramontes, joined by Joseph Morsaz and Gio. But I was actually going to, okay, now it's just awkward. Why do I make every intro awkward? I was going to try to remember Joe's Instagram name since he's this huge, big-time card collector guy now. And
I wish.
Gio's from DC Fandom United podcast, that one I can get up with. If football and DC United ever like collaborated, or like if football,
they have.
Gio would never leave. Who did?
Dwayne Johnson's essentially, kicking off every season now. Dwayne Johnson, and Dwayne Johnson is Black Adam. Black Adam is DC, comes out next month. And he's also the co-founder of the new XFL. So, yeah.
Okay, but that's not NFL. That's XFL.
Nah, they got into an agreement, buddy. The XFL is kind of like the G League now, so to speak, of the NFL.
Very cool. I didn't know that.
Cool, I guess. I didn't really look at it.
It's a partnership.
But anyways, Gio, where can we find you? Sorry.
On Twitter at Fandom United 21. I've barely use that nowadays, and then Apocalypse Movies with my buddy Jake, Brian, and Keith. Okay,
and the big one,
Fandom United, baby.
Man, that's gracious. You didn't even promote your own thing, bro. Come on, like I know you're a part of Apocalypse, but anyways, go check out all three of them. Joe, where can we find your mad deals, your mad steals, and your lit cards? And
I don't sell online, but if any card collectors watch this, at Joseph916 cards on IG.
We get quite a few card. We actually had a card collector like 2 weeks ago, bro, and I literally was like, "Dang, Joe,
oh man,
I don't know what to tell this guy."
Man,
how's that Derek card downtown? Oh no, wait, you got rid of it.
Sold. I just picked up a Trey Lance downtown though.
Nice.
Speaking of Trey Lance downtown, he certainly went downtown Chicago last Sunday. Didn't fare too well in the monsoon, but hey, who could blame him? Which leads us to our first question here today, folks. Who are you most impressed or unimpressed by after week one? And the reason why I say impressed or unimpressed is because typically people will come on and say, all right, who are we overreacting about in week one? And it's like, no, you don't overreact in week one. You got to overreact in like at least week 2 or week 3. So I just want to know who you guys are impressed with thus far. It could be whole teams. It could be specific players.
And so, Gabe, just to clarify there, for unimpressed, and you kind of touched on it, but I didn't get a clarification. Are we talking about guys that we were like, oh man, he had a bad week, but I think he's going to bounce back? Or are we talking about, look, I was unimpressed. I think this could be a season-long trend.
Whatever you want to do with it, man. You're the pro of your own answer, and I'll let you answer it because you guys are pros. Before we get into that, though, hello, Jacob and Kyle from Star Drew. I don't know who Kyle is. We're going to get that comment out of here. See you later.
Kyle.
And then looking forward to see the big fantasy bet in Miami versus Baltimore. Okay. And then he finally got the name right. Hey, Gabe. Hey, Joseph. And I don't remember a dig I gave, but sure, there's a dig there somewhere. I don't know. If I insulted you, I apologize. And are the Bears impressive? No, I don't think so. I think everybody in that game was weirdly awful. And we were all together to watch at least the first half before I left. But yeah, so let's get into it. What are you most impressed by or most unimpressed by after week 1 of the NFL season? And I'll open it up to both of you. Gio, do you want to start? Or do you want me to start so I can give you a good example?
No, I can start. I think I got it. A player that I am most impressed by is a player that I had a lot of stock in, and he did not disappoint. He looked like he got his legs back. Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants.
My boy.
I mean, 18 attempts, 164 yards, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. It's only week 1, but this is a great sign for Saquon Barkley truthers out there. People
Dude,
were
if he
writing him
stays
off.
healthy,
Yeah,
and you
league
took him in the
winner
third or
right there.
fourth round,
Yeah,
that's stupid.
It's
I mean,
insanely stupid.
yeah, it's crazy, and like I am not at all worried about the NFC East. Maybe Philly a little bit, but Saquon's very familiar with that. The Cowboys, they're poor Cowboys, and Washington. He has some good games on his slate. He plays Carolina next. But for me, just watching Saquon move like he used to back his rookie season, catching the ball, he might be, dare I say, game script proof, because he's going to get his touches regardless. The only thing that's going to stop him is some freak injury. So,
all right, knock
Saquon
on wood,
Barkley.
Gio. Just stop right there. We don't even have to speak it, okay? But that really is true, man. It was remarkable to see him back and healthy again. The question going into every season, it seems to be for at least the last 2 years, is CMC or Barkley when healthy. They're going 1-2 overall. Well, last year Barkley was like semi-healthy, but also injured throughout the season. So whenever he was playing, it was kind of lackluster because he was always playing hurt. But it was finally great to see a full, healthy game, and hopefully he can string some of those along. And I'll let you in on a little secret before we get going. Is in our dynasty league, I was so hesitant to start him. Not start him. I was so quick. You guys know how I am by now. If I put someone up as available, I'm taking the quickest deal. I'm very impulsive like that. And I was about to take Alec Pierce, Christian Kirk, and like a 2022 second for Barkley.
Wow.
You think I'm going to take that? Wow. I mean, but before we knew what he could do, I felt like that was within a realm of possibility of fair trades, because Barkley hasn't produced. He didn't produce last year that much, and he's injury prone. I'm not doing that now. I'm riding it out. Gio, that's great. Good example.
Now,
so you
on the
impressed.
On the flip side,
oh gosh, what?
There is a small possibility this could be your chance to sell high if you're still worried. This is a great game right here. Like over 30 fantasy points right now. You could arguably flip him for like a Derrick Henry, who did not have the best game. I think he like single digit fantasy points, or an Alvin Kamara or something like that. Like if you're somebody who took Saquon Barkley just because he fell to you, you could flip him. Even the McCaffrey, had a good game. And by good game, he didn't get injured. So, there's that as well. So, yeah.
Very much. Very good. Thank you. Before we get to Joe's pick, we got a few questions here. Allen Robinson or Drake London? Thanks, Jermel. We appreciate it. Guys, gut impulse decision making. I think I'm going A-Rob on the bounce back. And Joe, I feel like you're already going to think otherwise. No, you want to go
A-Rob? Allen Robinson all day.
Allen Robinson against ATL. Drake London looks like he's playing Los Angeles. Los Angeles isn't going to sit down and take an L again. And actually, wait, they're playing each other. What did I just say? I do like Allen Robinson for a rebound here. At least 5 for 50 a touchdown, hopefully, right? That's what you hope for. That's about 13, 14 fantasy points.
I'm going to go with Drake London.
Then play devil's advocate. Why, Gio? Why?
Well, the Rams offensive line kind of scares me. Granted, it was the Buffalo defense, but still, like Matt Stafford, talk about like a underwhelming game. And then there's this concern about his elbow as well. And Cooper Kupp always seems to get open. He's like the McCaffrey of wide receivers. Like this guy is just, he somehow makes it work. And he is by far Matthew Stafford's trusted, go-to option. The running game is a little bit sketch. So maybe, they back up and they dare Matthew Stafford to throw it to, anybody else. And I don't know. Drake London, like, I'll take him. on the
think
fly.
that's fair, Gio, but
yeah,
just to counter that. So Drake London had what, 10 points? And the Falcons actually put up what, 26 points?
They did
the
against a
Right.
compelling Saints defense, right?
Okay, hold on. What did we see? What were some of the trends in that? One, Cordero Patterson was not. I mean, I think I saw that he is not a fluke last year. They're going to feed him early and often, and I think that can be guaranteed throughout the year. But Kyle Pitts got nothing. I don't know where Kyle Pitts was. The guy was a mystery, and I think he's going to be factored in at some point. So, do I trust Atlanta to score 26 points against another good defense like they're playing the Rams, right? I don't know. We'll have to see. Marcus Mariota didn't look great. But on the flip side with Allen Robinson, it's funny. My little brother, guy loves football, watches it all day, every day.
I already love him in the group chat, by the way.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
amazing.
He's fun. He's a load of fun. But he texts me. He's like, dude, I'm watching the game film. And Allen Robinson, he drafted Allen Robinson in 2 weeks. He's like, Allen Robinson's open all day, and Stafford's not looking to him. And I said, dude, it's week 1. Relax. I don't know if Allen Robinson is, he's not cooked. 2.2 points, we're all upset, right? But we know that Cooper Kupp is going to get his, Gio. You're absolutely right. And Cooper Kupp got his in a game where they got killed and scored 10 points. So what happens when we know that was basically Stafford's preseason? So now they come out and they score 30 points on Atlanta. Allen Robinson is the number 2 guy. He's going to get his. So I'm definitely going to Allen Robinson this week. You may be able to convince me season long that Drake London is better.
There you go. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Jermel, we hope we answered your question there. 2 for 1. You going Drake London with Gio? You going Allen Robinson on the rebound with Joseph and I, with the golden arm kind of broken Matthew Stafford currently. But he looked okay. They just looked awful. Anyways, what's up? Should I start Gerald Everett, tight end, or the Los Angeles Chargers tomorrow night? Or because Keenan Allen is out? Or should I pick up Robert Tonyan?
That's a weird question.
Well, it's a tight end question, man. He's trying to figure it out.
Keenan's out. Keenan Allen's out. So what does that got to do with your tight end? Do you not
Should
have
I
any
start
wide
Everett
options?
tomorrow night since Keenan Allen is out?
I like Everett, but I don't think Tonyan is he's not a flex player. There's got to be somebody on your waiver. I mean, in our leagues.
No, maybe he plays in a 12-man lead. He's still in the chat. Maybe he'll reach out to us. Gut impulse, if you're looking at tight end position, I would stay with Everett. He got the
Everett all day.
Week. Yeah,
Everett, and check and see if Taysom Hill is on your
Joshua Palmer
waivers.
is a good option. Is he on your waivers?
No, DeAndre Carter is also a better option, but I'm thinking this is a tight end. I would honestly probably go Logan Thomas. He had 8 fantasy points. He didn't catch the touchdown, but at least he got 11 targets. So a couple of options there, and it says, guys, this is for my TE, my tight end. So shut up. We get it, Steven. We know you're smart.
No. I get that, but then what does that got to do with Keenan Allen being out?
Because if Keenan Allen's out, he got 10 targets before he went out last game.
Oh, so he's talking about with Gerald Everett.
Where are those targets going to filter?
Oh, I mean, Gerald Everett was already better than Tonyan in the first place, and now with Keenan out, it's kind of in question. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe. I think the real question is maybe what are some other tight ends on your waiver wire? I don't know. I don't like Logan Thomas more, but yeah, Gerald Everett is a solid play over Robert Tonyan this week.
Everett or Taysom Hill.
Everett or
I'm going Everett, man.
Okay.
I think
Taysom Hill is going to be so fluky, man. I don't know about that guy. He's just there to kill everyone's fantasy value.
He's the Deebo Samuel tight ends because he'll play whatever position.
Yeah, I mean, dude, when I saw that he was listed as a tight end, it kind of went through my mind like, dude, if I'm throwing darts at a wall, I'll take a risk that he's going to vulture a touchdown. You know what I mean? Because that's what you're looking at from the tight end spot.
It's a high risk, high reward thing. Yeah.
And he had four carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, right? And if my tight end does that, I'm happy. So, but I just like Gerald Everett. I actually think he's going to play himself into be a pretty consistent top 10 tight end this year.
It's a shame because I really like Parham, and he got hurt last year and hasn't been able to find his way back. Anyways, Steven, hopefully answer your question. Steven, Joe, 2 first names. I hope Joe's not your last name. Anyways, let's move on. I'm just going to transition here because I like this comment. Washington will suck. Screw Washington. No faith in there. Okay, well, that was a little aggressive, but I brought them up because I was very impressed by the Washington offense just this last Sunday. I thought Wentz played well. Did he support 3 fantasy wide receivers in one game last year?
I mean,
No.
there weren't 3 great options, but 3
hey,
plays.
they all had 10 plus fantasy points. So
flex plays.
Yeah.
Flex plays, but Curtis Samuel technically finished as a wide receiver too, and so did Terry McLaurin.
And then Gibson had some good catches too, right?
Yeah, Gibson was great. So it's like that team really flowed, and it just kind of initial impressions were, hey, who do they play again? The Lions? No,
they're facing Detroit, and I love that as a streaming option.
No, they played Detroit this week. They played the Eagles last week. Then
no, the Eagles played Detroit last week.
Who did the Commanders play?
They played the Jags.
Yeah.
Oh, they did play the Jags. Yes, they played Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because their defense is putrid in general, but I don't know. I liked it, and I think a lot of people were avoiding a lot of these pieces this year. Terry was a high sell this year. Nobody really had Dotson on the fantasy radar for rookies. Gibson was a huge fade.
7 catches for Gibson for 72 yards.
Thank you, Joe. And I was just going to allude to that, so that's good. And then, gadget guy Curtis Samuel finally found some love for fantasy. So I picked up Samuel in a league. He wasn't worth anything. I'm not going to start him this week. I don't really think so. But it was nice to see. That's all. Yeah. With that being said, Joe, we'll go to you last. Who were you impressed or unimpressed by in week 1?
Yeah. So I was impressed with Gibson, but we just talked about that. So I'll go with another guy, A.J. Dillon, and I'm going to tell you why. I expect. Look, there were some guys that were super high on A.J. Dillon last year. I was like, look, this is a Jones and Adams team, and I don't think Dillon's going to do much. And he had a few games, but he wasn't great. He wasn't a reliable fantasy option. In this year, I took him in a few leagues, and I took him I was very excited to take him. And he proved it week 1, right? The Packers got destroyed. It was 20. They scored 3 points, right, or 7 points.
Yeah, it was
7-7. It was bad, right? They couldn't do anything. Aaron Rodgers looked pedestrian. The wide receivers were pedestrian. Guess who had the most catches between Aaron Jones, who is a pass catching machine, and A.J. Dillon? A.J. Dillon out-targeted him, and I believe out-caught him, and had 5 catches. I'm not expecting that every week, but A.J. Dillon is going to be the goal line back. So we know he's going to get touchdowns. And we know that the Packers are going to find a way to score. They'll figure it out, whether it's, just feeding the running backs all game or whatever they got to do. So A.J. Dillon's going to be involved with touchdowns on the goal line. And if he can get pass down work and be consistent pass down option, I mean, he's going to put himself in the top 10 conversation, in my opinion, not only this year, but moving forward. And what will be crazy? With how bad the Packers wide receivers are this year, I would not be shocked to see A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones both finish, it's going to sound crazy, top 13. Both of them.
Top 13. Oh, my God.
Because top 12.
I thought you were going to say top 20.
Top 20. Because who else are they going to throw to? They're going to feed those two.
Lazard is coming back. He's the savior.
Lazard is just another guy, man. He's never done anything. He doesn't get me any more excited than Juwan Jennings. He's nobody. I like him, but he's not. He's
Lazard couldn't do much. No, Lazard couldn't do much when Devontae Adams was there. And I mean, you want to talk about defenses taking the attention off of you,
exactly,
and putting it. And now it's like, okay, we know Lazard's the guy, by default, because
their only chance is Watson becoming a real threat, and
I don't think it happens. Yeah.
Maybe signing Odell, Watson becomes a threat, and then you slide Lazard and Watkins down to 3rd and 4th, and now you're looking at an okay, core. But as it is, it's terrible. That's got to be one of the worst wide receiver groups I've seen in my time playing fantasy football. But,
Joe, I like the take, but it also shows that even though you're a part of this team, you don't listen. Because it hurts our hearts. That A.J. Dillon was Jacob's knight in shining armor of the year, man. You don't even question those guys.
Look,
you start them in and out every single week.
I'm not saying you don't start him. I'm impressed. Look, I knew he was going to be good. I'm impressed by the passing down work. That's where I took that as. But
that's fair. That's a good point.
Let's talk about unimpressed. Cam Akers.
Let's hear.
Cam Akers. And look, I think Allen Robinson is going to bounce back. Cam Akers didn't even get on the field. The guy, he was drafted, fourth round, fifth round?
He had 1 carry for 0 yards.
Yeah. He was drafted somewhere between the 3rd and the 5th round, and the guy's playing as a third stringer. I mean, dude, that's bad. Look, we saw it with the Rams last year, right? Henderson was ran into the dirt, and then Akers came back, and he was as fresh as you could be coming off an Achilles, but he was fresh. And so they just benched Henderson completely, and they ran Akers with Michelle as his 2. And everybody kind of thought from that playoff game, well, if Akers is getting the love, he's definitely the guy. But, Henderson actually looked good last year when he was the guy. We forget. And I think that's kind of the Rams. Like, that was their thing is, look, we've got 3 guys. We're going to roll with the hot hand. We're not going to mix them up. We're going to let Henderson go until he's tired. And then week 8, week 9, maybe Akers gets in there. But it looks bad. I mean, I just don't understand how you go from getting, 10, 15 touches a game in the playoffs to 1 in week 1. You had extra time to get right, and clearly you didn't impress anybody. So that I'm panicking on that.
Yeah, but I do also go back to, as previously mentioned, the Rams offensive line. Again, and it was against the Bills defense. And that's it's come on now. That's a lot of pressure right there. That just added Von Miller. If I'm a Cam Akers person, like somebody who drafted Cam Akers, I'm gonna hold on to him for another. Because what else are you gonna do? You're gonna trade him for pennies on the dollar. You have no choice but to hold him right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just holding on to hope and just trying to see if McVay can figure it out, or Cam Akers can figure it out. Do not trade him if you are Cam Akers' owner. You got to hold on to him. See what happens. It's only a game. It was against the Buffalo Bills. We'll see what happens next week. Who are they facing, by the way?
The problem is, I think he said Atlanta. The problem is, it's not even. He had 3 attempts for 0 yards. I'm not worried about the 0 yards. I don't care if even you had a terrible game. Everybody's prone to have a terrible game. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that he was out-touched 18-3 by Darrell Henderson. That's the part that makes me nervous. It's the touch discrepancy. It's their snap discrepancy. Look, if I got even a halfway decent offer for Cam Akers, if somebody was like, oh, dude, this is my chance to buy low, I'm going to go in with, I don't know, throw a name out there.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Honestly, I didn't pay attention to Clyde Edwards-Helaire at all. Michael Carter.
He did good.
Michael Carter. Somebody throws me Michael Carter for Cam Akers, I'm not looking back. Yes,
you're taking today. That with
Travis Etienne. Give me Etienne. I'm taking a risk on Ramondre Stevenson. I'm taking the risk with James Robinson.
Jeff Wilson?
Good, no, I don't. No, at that point, I'm just throwing in the towel. I'd rather just risk it that Akers becomes the guy. But I think that the rest of those guys have season-long value. So
yeah,
I like when you guys are on because we could go all day, and I appreciate that. One thing I will say that I think anyone failed to mention is that even to the very early stages of the Sean McVay era, he is a 1 running back guy. So whether it's Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, Todd Gurley, or whoever's been there in between, the person who's in the game is the person that's in the game. They've never been a split backfield. So maybe they throw Akers in there to just kind of see how he's doing. Is he being ginger on that leg? Is he fully healed? He's clearly not ready yet. And until that point comes, Darrell Henderson is getting all the work, and he's the guy that you're going to want to be starting in the Los Angeles Rams.
But how much confidence does Darrell Henderson give you as your running back too? Like,
he gives me incredible confidence. He had 13 fantasy points last week, and he got 18 carries. That's running back 2 volume.
So you'd be willing to ride Darrell Henderson all season long as your running back 2?
I ran him all last year as my running back 2 when Cam Akers was out, and he did just fine.
But I'm talking about this year. I'm not talking about last year. I'm talking about this year. Like, there's no injury concern. There's no.
Look, because I know that when Darrell Henderson does get injured, it will be Cam Akers' backfield. Yes. The 3rd-round rookie that they drafted broke his ankle or whatever he happened to. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact injury, but he's out for 8 weeks. So it's clearly if you're healthy, you're playing. If you're not healthy, there's someone else in there getting the workload. And whether he gets injured or not, we just had the same conversation about Saquon Barkley. If he's healthy, you're playing him. And I know they're not the same caliber player, but if Darrell Henderson is healthy, you are playing him because he plays in an offense that didn't look good last week, but that should grow together and show dominance like they did last year.
So if somebody offered you, let's say you're a Darrell Henderson owner, right? If you had the chance to trade him for Chase Edmonds, would you?
No.
You can't right now, Gio. You can't. Because look, Chase Edmonds looked okay. And I was impressed.
But who would you rather have all season? Like
I'd rather have Darrell Henderson.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It just depends, man. Are you the owner of Acres? To me, that has to factor into it because if I own Acres, I feel great having Henderson and Acres. I actually feel really good because, like Gabe alluded to, I'm going to ride Henderson for now. And when Henderson goes down or gets tired or they decide to push it over to Acres, maybe I have a 1-game gap where I make the wrong decision and then I roll back with Acres. So I think for the time being, I'm okay with riding Henderson because, dude, the Rams scored 10 points. Henderson and Kupp were still good. What happens? Come on, man. Let's not overreact here. This is the Rams. I hate them more than anybody. They are going to score 28 points this weekend. I will bet anybody money that I'm going to say they go over 30 against Atlanta if that's who they're playing. And come on, who's scoring those? It's not going to be Cooper Kupp getting 4 touchdowns. I love the guy. He's amazing. But there's going to be other guys factoring.
He's going to be shadowed all game long by that stud cornerback. Was it AJ Terrell, I think?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's still going to get his. Kupp is still going to get his.
Kupp. I don't care who you put it. You could put Sauce Gardner and AJ Terrell, and he's still going to put up his 30 fantasy points. That guy is the CMC of wide receivers right now. So
the CMC of wide receivers. I like it. Speaking of, it seems like this guy just read our mind. What's up, guys? What are you doing about the Los Angeles Rams backfield? Well, hopefully we just answered 2 minutes. Hopefully we just answered that for you. Rewinded 2 minutes like
if you're a Cam Akers owner, you hold. If you're a Darrell Henderson owner, but you don't have Cam Akers, maybe you buy Cam Akers on the low. And
that's actually a good point. Yeah, if I could buy Cam for low and I have Henderson, I mean, because you got to think there's going to be people that are like, I'll take anything. So look, maybe you go to maybe the guy that has Akers also has, Dalvin Cook, and you go and say, hey, I got Madison for you, bro. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out. Maybe I can do handcuff for handcuff. I'm going to do that all day because I think Akers is a premium handcuff. He just scares me right now.
And that's the key word we'll end on: premium handcuff. And Joe Stardew agrees with you. He thinks the Rams are going to be balling out this week. And so,
this could easily be a bounce back game. They're pissed off.
They are very much
I
pissed
think
off.
so.
Gentlemen, again, I love having you on, but we got to keep moving. We're only a quarter of the way through the show, and we're 30 minutes in. Let's talk about some dark horses. Joe, I know you know about dark horses. Gio, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with dark horses. So before we get into them, we're going to review last week. I had Christian Kirk, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was a hit, over 13 fantasy points. That's a good job for me. Jacob went with Ramondre Stevenson. Boo, bad Jacob. Unfortunately, he's going to look to get it right this time. Before you guys give us yours, if you have one, you're welcome to give us one. That means you and Jew. I'm literally pointing at you guys when I could have just said Gio and Joe. But with that being said, I'm going to start off with my dark horse this week, and that's Devin Singletary, running back for the Buffalo Bills. Listen, it was a crowded backfield last week. It didn't look all too pretty, but you know who looked the ugliest of the ugliest? No, wait. Who looked the best of the ugliest? It was Devin Singletary, 8 for 48 on the ground. He got it with the carries. He also had a couple of targets through the air. Zach Moss was no different. He was 6 for 6 in the air, 6 receptions for 21 measly yards. He could barely do anything with it. He was also 8 for 15 on the ground. Looked horrible. James Cook fumbled on his first carry of his NFL career. And no, he did not Kareem Hunt it. He was benched. Because you get the reference there, Kareem Hunt.
I got you.
Thank you. So with that being said, I don't know if that brings clarity to this backfield, but when you're looking at the best value, the best player, it's still Devin Singletary. He ended last year strong. He's coming into this year strong. They have a matchup this week against the Tennessee Titans, who aptly mentioned Saquon Barkley absolutely torched I think if anyone's going to find value this season in the backfield for the Buffalo Bills, or at least in week 2, it is Devin Singletary. I love him this week. At least 12 plus touches. Maybe gets a few targets in the air, and hopefully he finds his end zone. Sleeper currently has him projected for, let's see here, about 12.5 fantasy points. Easily surpasses that. I'm going for 15, just like I did with Christian Kirk last week. He is my dark horse of the week. And we'll talk about a few guys who you're going to be starting over him.
You said Singletary's your dark horse?
Dark horse of the week, baby. Any thoughts, guys?
I like it. I mean, how could you not feel any confidence, after what he displayed last week? There was a concern that the second round draft pick James Cook would eat in, and obviously that didn't work out. By the way, if you're in a dynasty league, try and get James Cook. Buy low on him right now.
Well, you know what's so funny is like we all play in a few dynasty leagues with each other, and who was the main running back behind Breece Hall this year? James Cook. And then all of a sudden, right before some of these last few drafts happened that were dynasty related, it was Dameon Pierce. But for a long time, when we were drafting in June and July, it was James Cook.
Kenneth Walker, James Cook. And,
Kenneth Walker, then James Cook.
Fair enough. But James Cook was in the discussion, right? And it just goes to show that in dynasty, these guys can very easily be placeholders for quite some time before they can become relevant. Not everyone is a Saquon Barkley drafted in the first round. Not everybody is a Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathan Taylor of last year or 2 years ago. So temper your expectations for these rookies, because I sure got my share of James Cook, and I was very much sad. But like Gio said, I agree. He's a hole in dynasty for sure. Acquire
you buy low. Trade Darrell Henderson for him.
Look, I didn't think he was even going to play. Like, did he fumble or did Zach Moss fumble? I don't know.
He fumbled.
I think both of them fumbled, both Zach Moss and
I don't
James
care about
Cook,
Zach Moss. It was awful anyways, but James Cook definitely fumbled.
Look, Zach Moss didn't look as bad. Yeah.
Singletary's the guy.
Yeah.
The problem is, the guy's really Josh Allen, right? I mean, I don't really, I kind of went into this year and I didn't grab any of their running backs. It's kind of been a crap show the last few years, right? And Zach Moss, all this hype off season, I'm done with that, man. How many times have we seen this guy who plays 3 games and then he's a healthy scratch the rest of the year? I don't like it. I think James Cook eventually, whether it's this week or next week or 3 weeks from now, he's going to take Zach Moss's role, and Zach Moss will be back to get the DNPs. And at that point, maybe I'll like something there. But right now, it's like, dude, we just watch the same thing because Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis tore it up. Josh Allen was their leading rusher with 10 carries and 56 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Jamison Crowder had some big plays. Isaiah McKenzie had some big plays, and I saw a really cool thing about. Did you guys see what happened after he scored the touchdown?
The whole gender reveal thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought that was awesome. Dude, that team is going to be built on the defense. And they're going to be built on Josh Allen and those wide receivers. And for me, when you have a guy like Josh Allen stiff-arming people, I can't trust any of those running backs. Like, I think it's a bold, he had 8 points in our league. I think it's a bold dark horse, Gabe, because honestly, personally, I don't trust any of them. I might start him if I have to, right? If I don't have any better options, but, I hope that's not my RB2.
But I see where Gabe is going with this too, because this could easily turn into a blowout where the second half, all Josh Allen does is hand the ball off and whatnot because they're up by 3 touchdowns and a field goal, and Atlanta can't do anything against that Bills defense.
No, they're going against Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee.
I thought it was Atlanta. Oh, my
Atlanta's
bad. LA. Sorry. I mean, Tennessee.
So here's the thing, though. Is Tennessee not going to bounce back themselves? Like, Derrick Henry's going to ball out.
Pretty crappy.
But dude, did you guys see the graph? Like, I was listening to, it was on TikTok I saw, but it's Colin Coward. And they were talking about how of the 9 teams that didn't, I think it was, of the 9 teams that played their quarterbacks in their first string quarterback and their first string wide receiver for even like 1/2 of the preseason, they went 7-2. And like the ones that didn't were teams like the Bengals, the Raiders, the Titans.
Oh,
and he was talking about all of the guys that didn't play in the preseason at all, they came out rough, very rough. And so, yes, Tannehill didn't look good, but you know who did look good? Treylon Burks. And Derrick Henry didn't look good, but it's Derrick Henry. Come on, I'm buying as low as if
you're not
Derrick Henry
benching
low,
Derrick Henry.
All right, really quick, for the sake of clip purposes, just to rewind it back. Yes, I agree with you. Josh Allen is a monster. He has high rushing upside week in and week out. I just think with the poor performance of Zach Moss and James Cook, Devin Singletary is a guy that's going to take a little bit more work on this week, and I think he finds himself fantasy success as my dark horse of the week. Let's move on to Jacob's dark horse of the week, and we kind of already talked about him a little bit.
Get out of here!
He's not even here right now.
But we got to talk to it. We got to talk about it. It's Drake London, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, we're starting Allen Robinson over Drake London. Just in short, you can poop on it. You can say what you want about it. Give me your quick thoughts. Drake London, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, going up against the Los Angeles Rams this week. Can he find fantasy success? While you guys talk, I'm looking up his sleeper ADP.
Look, Jalen Ramsey was a bum last week, but are we not expecting a little bit of a bounce back there against a rookie wide receiver?
I'm expecting a bounce back. He's going to teach that rookie some things, yeah.
I don't – look, I think at this point, you probably don't have a better option than Drake London in your flex. But I don't think – he's not a dark horse to me. He's look, this is a statement game for him. If Drake London does good, that's fantastic. But I think Jalen Ramsey's going to sit there and shadow him all game and say, listen, young man, you got to learn what it's like to be in the NFL and go against
Welcome to the NFL, yeah.
Exactly. And I think it's going to be one of those days.
We'll make this quick. Sleeper projections currently have Drake London for essentially 9 fantasy points. Last week, he scored 9.9 fantasy points. Over under Drake London, 10 fantasy points this week.
I mean, 9 is nothing, so I guess you got to go over.
Well, 9 is nothing, but he barely broke 9 last week. So over.
Look, if my team is getting 9 a week, I'm losing every game. So if I think it'll go over, but
I'll take the over, if anything, for garbage time.
Yeah, it'll be around there.
And Star Drew will take the under. Thanks, Star Drew. Let's move on. Fellas, I'll open it up to you now. You have 3 minutes. Joe, Gio, a minute and a half or so. Who's your dark horses of the week? I'd love to hear them. Gio, I'll start with you.
It's easy for me. It's Dalton Schultz. He's my dark horse. The tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Look, Cooper Rush, you have no idea what you're going to get from him. And he's probably going to be under a lot of pressure a lot. Yeah, that Cowboys offensive line looked terrible without Collins and Tyron Smith. So I could easily see him throwing it underneath, and Dalton Schultz is a security blanket. I trust him more than I do CeeDee Lamb, which I didn't think I'd be saying that by week 2, but you just don't know what you're going to get. So go with the safe bet, go with the safety blanket. For me, it's Dalton Schultz for the next month.
You know, Dalton Schultz touted as a top 10 tight end over the offseason, finished last week with about 10 fantasy points. Probably look to him to continue with that. Jill, that is not a bad take at all, even with a second-string quarterback behind that O-line. Joe, what about you? Who's your dark horse of the week?
Well, look, man, I think the whole Cowboys team gets a boost with Cooper Rush because Dak Prescott looked terrible, so there ain't no being worse than that. Look, I think CeeDee Lamb, and I just want to touch on that real quick, I think CeeDee Lamb is going to do okay. Did we see Cooper Rush just throw it to Noah Brown 5 times in a row, and he suddenly built up a 13-point fantasy day? And CeeDee Lamb was kind of just a side note. I think give Cooper Rush and CeeDee Lamb practice together, and I think he's going to be looking at CeeDee. So I think the Cowboys are going to look to get CeeDee more involved. But I like both of those guys.
Fair enough.
Going back to my dark horse of the week, gosh, I just had the name on me. Oh, yes, Brandon Ayuk.
Like he had to remember. It's almost like we knew it was going to be a Niner. Let's hear it,
guys. Look, guys. I mean, I'm so sick and tired. I have to kick myself off Twitter this week. I'm so sick and tired of this Trey Lance slander. You can save it. You can take it. Dude, people telling me Justin Fields was severely outperformed him. Give me a break. Justin Fields made 2 good passes all game, and I don't even know how great they were. They were wide open. Cooper Rush would have made those passes. Give me a break. Trey Lance did nothing wrong. He had 1 bad throw all game. He played in a marsh, in a swamp, in a freaking hurricane. Nothing right. Okay, that's first of all. Second of all, his offensive line was trash. Third of all, Shanahan played way too safe in that marsh. He got up 10-0, and the guy thought he was up 30-0 or something. You're throwing 5-yard passes. Keep Jimmy in the game. I think this is the week we're going against Seattle. Russell Wilson's gone. I think Shanahan's going to open up the playbook, and we're going to see a lot of what we did in that first quarter with Brandon Ayuk, little crossing routes, 25-yard gain, 15-yard gain, Debo getting involved. Kittle, I think, is going to be back. I think there's some pressure now to get him back. And I think that we're going to see Brandon Ayuk shine because we saw a connection there in that first quarter. And I'm interested to see how that goes, with a full game, not playing in a hurricane.
Fair enough.
And it's a statement game. Niners are pissed.
Yeah, and you can't judge anything off of a monsoon. Mother Nature calls, and you don't really – I don't know. I was trying to think of something catchy there, and I didn't have enough
agree.
time.
This is a bounce back game. I can't tell you how many times I've scrolled through social media and I've seen that damn photo of the Bears sliding in the field.
It's a good photo, though.
Look, bro, it's cool. Hey,
it's a cool photo, but my God.
When we beat Washington in the rain and we did that, and it was Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead.
Yeah. Dude, what it happens to you, huh?
Yeah.
And we beat them like 13-3, and it was also raining. It wasn't that bad, but it was pretty bad. I mean, look, it was a cool photo, but give me a break. Like they came out.
But here's the thing: the Bears are acting like,
the
Bears are acting like they were the Niners then when they got their photo taken. At least the Niners were coming off a Super Bowl or something, or Super Bowl appearance. The Bears act like they just won the NFC North, which
this is about their highlight of their season, though, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
In the NFL, a win's a win, and yes, it may or may not be the highlight of their season. But there you have it: Devin Singletary, Drake London, Dalton Schultz, and Brandon Ayuk are your dark horses of the week. Before we get into the Fool's Gold, Joe, I wanted to say that you guys all mentioned it. CeeDee Lamb struggled last week. Dak Prescott looked horrible last week. And that's a perfect transition into our Fool's Gold players because my Fool's Gold player this week is Jarvis Landry, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Who do they go up against this week? The same people that made Dak Prescott look like not a top 10 fantasy quarterback. That is the stout Tampa Bay defense with corners like Winfield, Carlton Davis, and I don't know who the other guy is, but he looked really good. The name is escaping me. But Winfield and Carlton Davis alone are rock stars in that secondary for Tampa Bay. I really liked Jarvis Landry last week. I went back and watched some tape because I was sure he was like, he's going to get peppered with targets underneath. Man, the guy was catching 30-yard bombs. He was being targeted midfield, outside the lines, inside the lines. He was moving all in and around. And for that reason, I think he's a perfect target for Antoine Winfield or Carlton Davis, either one, which is why I felt bad for even Michael Thomas this week. I just think that defense really means business. They're going to make life hard for the New Orleans wide receiver corps and Jameis Winston. The sleeper projections currently have Jarvis Landry right around 8 fantasy points. Yeah, I'll probably go under on that. So even under on 8 fantasy points for Jarvis Landry. He's a hard fade for me this week. And that is my Fool's Gold player of the week. Guys?
Well,
I love
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just was looking at the ESPN rankings earlier, and Terry McLaurin is number 11. Okay, he didn't do bad going against the Lions. The Lions gave up a bunch of points.
That was a good game.
But here's the thing, man. Curtis Samuel's good, and I loved him last year.
Wait, how does this relate to Jarvis Landry? Is there a point to this?
Oh no! I thought we're doing our my underdog. My bad. No, go ahead.
Wait. Are you doing your Fool's Gold player?
Yeah. No.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's go. I'm good. Perfect transition.
Oh, my bad. I said my Fool's Gold is Terry McLaurin.
Oh, gotcha.
And I don't think he's going to be bad, but they have him at number 11 ahead of guys like Mike Williams, DJ Moore, T. Higgins if he's healthy, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Amon-Ra, Gabe Davis, Jalen Waddle, Mike Thomas, DK Metcalf. I think I like all of those guys better than him. And again, I don't think he's going to be bad. But when I'm looking at these rankings and I see Terry McLaurin top 11, and I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand the Terry McLaurin love, I guess, just in general. Like, he's always drafted high. He's always talked about as, like, he's in the same category as the A.J. Browns and the Deebo Samuels. I just don't see it. He had 2 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown. And that's not a bad game, but it's not a top 10 wide receiver. He only had 4 targets. And that's the thing is Curtis Samuel's a target monster. Dotson's going to be involved. If Antonio Gibson is finally getting pass down work and J.D. McKissick, we know, is going to be involved in the pass game, and Logan Thomas, it's a lot of weapons. And I don't think Wentz is the guy that's going to feed 8 guys. So when it comes down to it, I think that Terry will be solid. I just don't have him as a top 10 receiver. He's like a 20 to 30 guy for me. You know what I mean? He's a top 30 guy. He's good. But if he's my wide receiver 1, which is basically what ESPN is saying, he's a low-end 1 or a high-end 2, I don't like it.
Fair enough. And just really quick correction. I think you said they were playing someone they're not. They're playing the Lions this week. That could be a reason why they have them high. The Lions defense is atrocious. But you're right.
Bad.
Wentz spread the ball around last week. That was one of the things I was most impressed with. I think he continues that streak this week, but it's kind of a gamble right now. You thought it was going to be a sure thing with Terry McLaurin. It may not.
I'm just going based off ESPN rankings on I don't think Terry will finish as a top 11 wide receiver. I don't think he'll finish as a top 20 wide receiver. That's all I was getting at.
I love it. No, I love it because we hardly ever allude to those per se rankings. And I think that's great. I think we got to trend that way. So thanks, Joe, for bringing new information to the table. Gio, who's your Fool's Gold player of the week?
It's whoever Jacob is starting as his wide receiver.
Drake London.
No, it's Najee Harris for me. I do not feel confident at all. He's pushing through a foot injury, limited at practice all week. He's going against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I do not like that matchup at all. Okay, I don't think Belichick is worried about Mitch Trubisky one bit. They're going to focus on the run game. They know Najee's not 100%. I do not like this matchup. Last week, Najee got into the end zone, sure. But other than that, 10 for 23 yards, that ain't going to do it. People were drafting you in the second round. And
Late
He did get hurt, but yes, it was not looking pretty at all.
Well, he got hurt in the fourth quarter? I think he only really missed overtime.
Yeah.
So, Gio, a question for you. Season-long fade? The part that really made me nervous is 2 targets, 2 receptions. Look, people have bad games on the ground. It was an ugly game to start. The defense scored the touchdown first, right? But 2 targets, 2 receptions, 3 yards. It was a touchdown. But last year, Najee got a lot of his value being a target hog. Yeah, I mean, he was 94 targets last year, which is what do the math on that. 5-6 targets a game? I don't know, just off the top of my head. So how are you feeling about, a big reduction? Is this a season-long fade or is it just a bad matchup this week?
Well, there's 2 things working against Najee, in my opinion. One, as long as Trubisky is a starter, no. At least with God, who's the guy? Pickett. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's some uncertainty there, but that could be a good thing to where, these defenses, they don't know exactly what to expect. We see it year after year. So there's that. But second, I'm looking at the schedule. All right, they have a week 9 bye. These defenses that he's going to be going up against, I do not like at all. Okay. I don't like these matchups for Najee Harris. He's facing New England this week. Next week, he has Cleveland. The following week, New York Jets. Okay, that's a great one. But then Buffalo, Tampa, Miami, Philly.
Yeah. I don't know how Philly's defense is, but yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean they were hyped during the offseason, and then after the bye, you got New Orleans. Okay, I mean that's a pretty stout.
It starts
defense.
To soften up, I think, a little bit towards the end.
Yeah.
So he's a second half guy, maybe.
It's gonna be. I mean,
look, man. I'm with you, and I think that New England is going to be out to prove something. And I also said this to you kind of alluded to this with Mitch Trubisky. I said this to my my fiance's father earlier. You know, they're a big Dolphins fan, and we're talking about Pittsburgh, and I said, look, I think if they ride with Trubisky the whole year, hear me out, they're actually going to win more games than if they go with Pickett. But if they go with Pickett, they'll have a more dynamic offense. The rookie will make more mistakes.
Oh, you mean they'll win more games with Trubisky, but they'll
will
have a more dynamic offense with Pickett.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So
better
the rookie's going to make exactly. The rookie will make mistakes that's going to cost them games, but that still may translate to 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I think with Trubisky, we kind of know what we're going to get, right? It's going to be like 200 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. It's kind of mistake-free football, but it's ugly. You know what I mean? It's just he's not winning you a game, but he's probably not losing you a game either. He's the Jimmy Garoppolo of quarterbacks, right? But yeah. Jimmy actually does cost them.
Jimmy's better, but bad. Same tier, but Jimmy's at the top of that tier. So
hey, despite all I say about Jimmy Garoppolo, he's led the team to 2 Super Bowls. I think he's good.
No, one NFC championship. Hold on, Gabe. Chill out.
I'm trying to help you guys out here.
And led. Go back and look at the playoff stats last year. He didn't do anything against.
I'm pretty sure Raheem Mostert ran over 200 yards against the Vikings.
Our special teams got us to the NFC Championship last year, not our quarterback.
Jeez, I was trying to make you guys feel good. Okay, but good. I'm glad you guys are confident in other aspects of your team. With that being said, look, you're likely starting Najee. You drafted him in the 2nd round. You're putting him out.
Oh yeah, you start him.
That's the highlight of Fool's Gold here, right? Is that we're not telling you to sit these guys. Unlike me. You drafted Jarvis Landry. He was probably a pickup after the draft, or he was one of your dart throws at the end of the draft. You can fade hard on him. Guys like Terry McLaurin and Najee Harris, you likely got to take the pill and swallow it this week, but temper your expectations. We're not expecting big things from them. All right, gentlemen.
I even think Terry's going to have a good game, like I said, but go on. I just don't think he's a top 10
and
guy.
If I'm the Najee Harris owner, the moment he has a good game or he scores a touchdown, I'm in the group chat hyping it up. Touchdown, Najee. There you go. You're back with the intent of trading him.
You're selling Najee. Dude, I don't know.
All right.
That's my guy.
Discussions to happen later.
But the first
we got
9
8
weeks,
minutes.
man, those defenses.
We got 8 minutes and 3 segments left. We're going to fire through these.
Let's
get on with it. What we like to do here and what we started last week is so many of these NFL podcasts, they love to go over matchups for fantasy. You can watch any fantasy podcast out there. We wanted to spend a little bit more time on these Monday night matchups. And what a special treat we have this week because we have 2 Monday night matchups on par for us. With that being said, how often do you find yourselves Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night even, pondering yourself, do I start this guy right now and risk waiting on the injury concern that is the guy that's playing on Monday or the guy that's playing on Monday that I'm already unsure of? We're going to spend a little bit more time on these Monday night games tonight to hopefully give you some clarity and some hardness to your decision-making as you make these tough decisions going into your fantasy week 2. And the first game is the Tennessee Titans take on the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo on Sunday night. With that being said, we can easily bypass Josh Allen. You are starting him, all hands on deck. However, Ryan Tannehill is our first topic of discussion. I will tell you right now, I'm the proud owner of Ryan Tannehill in a 2QB Dynasty Flex League, and I am comfortably starting Carson Wentz and Jameis Winston over him. How do you guys feel about that?
I don't like Ryan Tannehill at all this week. No.
It's just so calm, cool, and collected. Perfect. So then that backs up my point. He's a hard fade this week. And if you're in a 10-team league, a 12-team league, and it's a 1QB league, there are better options out there. You're not pivoting to Ryan Tannehill this week. Clearly, I'm in a super flex QB league with 12 teams, and I'm not starting Ryan Tannehill.
Gabe, I think the conversation for Tannehill needs to be, just to make it very quick, if you had Dak Prescott and he got hurt, and your team, I'm in a league.
That's a great example.
We're in a league where a lot of guys, even though it's a single quarterback, they hold 2 quarterbacks. So that means guys like Trey Lance. That means guys like Matt Stafford. They're not on the waivers. You go to the waivers, there's no Derek Carrs. You're talking about Carson
Geno
Wentz,
Smith,
Ryan Tannehill. You're talking about maybe Trevor Lawrence if you get lucky, although maybe not him. So of those 3 guys I just mentioned, Tannehill, Wentz, It sounds like you're comfortable going Wentz over him.
Yeah, I'm comfortable going Wentz.
I agree with Wentz or Lawrence.
Perfect. Then we don't need to waste any more time. Let's move on to the running backs position. We talked about all three of these guys in company: Singletary, Moss, and Cook. I like Singletary the most out of these three. I'm not wasting my time on Cook until we see it. I'm not wasting any more time on Moss until an injury happens to Singletary. So with that being said, I love Singletary this week. He is my dark horse. I'm starting him with confidence. Hopefully you guys can kind of agree. You alluded to it earlier. We're not going to spend too much time there because, again, some of these guys we've mentioned already. On the other side of the ball, we got Derrick Henry. He's a surefire start week in and week out. But what about his backup, Dontrell Hilliard? Came out of nowhere last week, caught 2 touchdowns, 21 fantasy points on the day. Is he an integral part of this offense? And is it something to build upon that you feel confident about starting him this week on Monday Night Football?
I mean, I wouldn't start him, but I would pick him up and put him on the bench. And if he's on your waivers and, see what happens, like we know he had a good game, more than what was expected. Can he repeat? Do you want to take that risk? And I mean, are you desperate? Like what's going on here? If you're considering flexing him,
I will say this. We all know, at least the majority of us right here in this little I say the majority, us three. We know a guy by the name of Tyler Cooper, and he was in the chat last week, and he did say, Dontrell Hilliard, he's my sleeper this week. Start him. You're not going to regret it. And Coach Coop, if you're out there listening, that was a wicked call, my friend, because he certainly did succeed for fantasy managers. Joe, any points of interest?
No, you're not starting this guy. I mean, look.
Dude, I love it.
Look, 1 week is a good call, right? It's lucky. If he does it again, I'm going to think about it. But there's going to be better days for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And I think few of those touchdowns were lucky. I'm not starting him.
All right, let's move on to those wide receivers then. On one side of the ball, you have, let's see, Stephon Diggs. You're starting him. Gabriel Davis. You're probably starting him. Isaiah McKenzie is where it starts to get a little unclear. If you're playing in deeper leagues, I think he's a fine flex.
Flex Isaiah McKenzie?
Yeah.
I think in deeper leagues, he's a flex. I'm thinking like 12-team leagues or anything farther than that.
What's a flex? Is like wide receiver, basically 30 through 40?
Yeah, when I think about,
yeah. Okay, Chase Claypool or Isaiah McKenzie?
I'd go probably Chase Claypool, honestly.
No,
actually, you know what?
I'm taking McKenzie.
I go McKenzie.
I'll name you the guys.
Well, wait,
Julio, Mooney, Renfro, Robinson, London, Claypool, Elijah Moore, Bateman, MVS.
I'm taking all those guys over McKenzie.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
And then even the 40 through 50 list: Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper, Joshua Palmer, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Smith, Rondale Moore, Brandon Ayuk. Gio, I'm
not starting Amari Cooper over Isaiah McKenzie.
You're not starting Amari Cooper.
Well, listen,
Amari
Joe,
Cooper's
you
not
bring
going to
up
have
some
a great
compelling
year.
arguments.
But he went from wide receiver 10, 15 to 45 behind Isaiah McKenzie in 1 week. Josh
Allen was on fire against the Rams. I love it. I'm going Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah, you're
right.
bold.
Hey, I love
you're
it.
More bold than me.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Start Isaiah McKenzie if you're feeling what Gio's feeling out there. That means you're also probably not showing any love for Jamison Crowder, even though he had a better game. He didn't catch the touchdown, but he was certainly effective. But you're probably likely not starting him as well. On the other side of the ball, Robert Woods, big dud last week. He's a total wait and see for me. I'm not starting him this week. I hope you guys feel the same so we can keep shaking our heads and moving on.
Yeah.
Treylon Burks had a good rookie outing. No touchdowns, so the fantasy line didn't look as great. He was targeted a bunch, though. He caught a few passes. He looked good. I want to wait for that momentum to build, and I think it gets stifled a little bit against this tough Buffalo Bills defense. So I'm not starting him either. And I'm not even going to waste my time with a name I don't know how to pronounce. Ikine Westbrook. I'm sorry, man. We're not starting you this week for fantasy. No. Let's look at tight ends. Austin Hooper. No. Dawson Knox. Got the big money, got the bag this week. People have him in a lot of leagues. I dropped him in our dynasty league. He was picked up very quickly after that. You started Dawson Knox this week?
No. But
good. I love it.
But Austin Hooper, guys, he tricked me last week. When I had Kittle out and I had Ertz and it was the dynasty league and I put Kittle on my IR and I'm like, oh, Austin Hooper, how did I forget? He went to Tennessee. Their wide receivers suck. maybe bounce back. Remember that year in Atlanta? That was a monster, top 5 tight end. Yeah, nothing. Garbage. Dropped him as soon as the game ended. I'm like, all right, get out of here.
You guys, I need to have you guys more often because your little like drops and sudden like low key responses, they absolutely have me weak. And going forward, we'd like to spend a little bit more time on these key matchups. Again, these are guys that you are thinking about starting Sunday morning, Sunday night, and you can't wait the next day. So you're making these decisions early on, which is why we hope we can help you out with these decision-making processes that we go through. And that was your Titan and Bills matchup for the first game of Sunday night.
We got a rapid fire.
Right. Let's move on to the second game of Sunday night. That's the Vikings at the Eagles in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, he could have easily had a 3-touchdown performance last week, only ended up with 1 and still had a great fantasy game. I love him. You're starting him. Kirk Cousins is where the water gets a little scrapey, but he's good. He's great. You're starting him with confidence. The only reason
giving
why
me Kirk Cousins disrespect.
No. I wasn't.
No, not you. I'm saying the world.
Okay, gotcha.
If Dak Prescott is injured and Kirk Cousins is on your waivers, you pick him up.
You pick him up. You start him with confidence. I'm only saying is because the community generally hates on Kirk Cousins, even though year in and year out, this guy is between a wide receiver
10.
Or top 10, top 12. Regardless, he's a QB1 almost year in and year out. You're starting him. Let's look at the running backs. Dalvin Cook, you're starting him. Surefire. On the other side of the ball, Miles Sanders looked good last week, kind of. Got fantasy points. He seems to be the clear leader of that backfield over guys like Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell, who was a sleeper this year. Didn't really do anything in week 1. I think you're not starting him. You're not starting Boston Scott. You got to start Miles Sanders in the flex. I don't know what you guys are thinking about that. Gio, you're looking, you're thinking, you're yawning.
Yeah, no, I'm not starting Miles Sanders.
Oh, I got to, so I have to.
Yeah,
but my lineup sucks. So
look, Miles Sanders looked good. 13 for 96, 7.4 yards per carry. He had a touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell also had a touchdown. Boston Scott also had a touchdown. Jalen Hurts also had a touchdown. They got 4 touchdowns running, and Miles Sanders only got 1 of those. He could have had a humongous game if they gave it to him instead of Gainwell and Scott. Dude, I think you have to. Miles Sanders is always disrespected too, and somehow he's always top 15 to 20 when he's healthy. I think you have to start. You have that many better options at running back, Gio?
Well, I do. In certain leagues, so.
Well, look, in the league,
let's not mention that,
Gio. Are you starting him? If you have him in my league, are you starting him or are you starting Kenneth Walker? You're starting him.
Well, no,
Most people are starting.
You know who I have in your league, so.
You need Antonio Gibson. I got you. But all right, we'll move on.
All right, let's move on to wide receiver.
Yeah,
Starter says, hey,
Star Drew.
There's going to be an awesome shootout in Philadelphia this week. We agree with you. So let's look at some of those wide receivers. You're starting JJ, Justin Jefferson. You're starting Adam Thielen.
No, you're not starting.
No,
I don't want to.
He did nothing. What do you do?
Oh man, I think he's a good bounce back candidate this week.
I don't think so, man. I don't think so.
I really do.
KJ
we'll have to
Osborne
take the water bet on that.
I don't know, man. Adam Thielen's days as a relevant wide receiver, I think, are done. He's 32, man.
While I look up the sleeper projections, let's move on. Are you starting Osborne then, wide receiver 3 for the Minnesota Vikings?
No, but I think that by like week 6, week 4, I think Osborne will clearly surpass him. Like, we're not even going to be talking about it. I think that it's going to be, and watch out for Jalen Reagor. They paid for him. There was a reason why. You never know. Some guys just don't fit in a certain system. They get somewhere else, they look good. He needs a few weeks, but
I feel like that happens more in basketball than it does in football. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hey,
you never know.
Adam Thielen's projections this week are 10 fantasy points over under, Joe.
10?
Yeah, last week he had 5.
So low, but if
last week he had 5 fantasy points over under, Joe.
Where did he have 5? Because I'm looking at he had 3 catches for 36 yards. That's 6.5 points.
Okay, 5, 6.5, depending on scoring.
Okay, whatever. Does he have over 10? I mean, look,
I'm gonna go over.
It's gonna be a shootout. It's gonna be a shootout. So I think he may get lucky and get a touchdown. But I'm not excited starting him.
If that's 12 points, that's probably a flex wide receiver 4 area type of guy. That's
like, dude, I'm starting Brandon Ayuk over him. I'm not Brandon Ayuk. I'm starting Joshua Palmer over him. and Joshua Palmer with Keenan Allen out is exciting to me. I'm starting Robbie Anderson over him. I'm starting Rashad Bateman. Like, dude, I see about 45 other wide receivers I like better, so it's tough for me to say start him. But I think he could do okay.
There you go. Let's look at the other side of the ball. You're starting A.J. Brown. Huge Philadelphia Eagles debut last week. What about Devontae Smith? Put up the goose egg.
We talked about that guy.
Is there a bounce back for Devontae Smith this week? Because that is probably the biggest one this week. Can you start him this week in a possible shootout with the Minnesota Vikings? Gio says yes. I full-heartedly agree with you, Gio. Joe, let's play devil's advocate. Let's see what you got to say.
I'm not even saying don't start him because you probably have to. I don't know. Maybe you don't actually. But look, A.J. Brown looked every bit the part. I was an A.J. Brown sleeper. I faded him in all the drafts at the price that he was going for. I feel stupid. Dallas Goddard, however you say his name, he looked good. And then they had 4 running backs involved, 3 running backs, and Jalen Hurts, who ran the ball for a good amount of
90 yards.
Dude, it's just tough, man. Like, Jalen Hurts is not a quarterback to me that's going to support a lot of guys in the pass game. He's going to get his running. They're a run-first team in Philly, and A.J. Brown looked to be the Cooper Kupp of that offense. So Devontae Smith is not going to put up a goose egg. But I need to see it before I can trust it, basically.
That is a perfect answer. What I do like, though, I get it. There's a lot of mouths to feed. A lot of people looked good. Devontae Smith didn't look good. Jalen Hurts still threw the ball 32 times. He didn't do that, and he hasn't done that since like week 6.
Dude, that was a crazy game, though. 38-35.
It was, but if we're expecting a shootout, right, and Jalen Hurts looked all parts of a high-caliber NFL player, which is what last year he was highly criticized for. So if they can throw the ball 32 times, Devontae Smith is not going to be goosed all year long. I think Joe's right. You wait and see. I think you're right, Gio. You know what? Joe's persuaded me. I don't know if I'm going to be starting Devontae Smith. You got to wait and see. But Joe also said, you likely invested enough in him to where you're probably going to start.
I love the Joshua Palmer conversation just because that guy I actually had him in Dynasty, and I was like, I don't want to drop him. It's just Justin Herbert's like 3rd round pick last year. What do I gain from dropping him? But look, he's probably available on every waiver. Last year when Keenan Allen went out, he killed it. Go look up the stats. I'll let you guys do the looking, but do your homework. Joshua Palmer or Devontae Smith, guys?
Who? Sorry, Joshua Palmer or Devontae Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I honestly think.
And you have to decide tomorrow.
I go Devontae Smith.
I'll take Smith.
I'm gonna do Joshua Palmer. We'll talk about it. This is kind of like, I'm not on the podcast much anymore, but this is my book it down with you guys. I want to book
Let's
it down.
do it, man.
Joshua Palmer this week over Devontae Smith.
Joe, you say you haven't been on that much. We need you back on. You're part of the show. We want you. Let's look at the tight ends really quick. Irv Smith. No, he played 19 snaps last week. And Dallas Goedert, you're starting him at tight end. Well, there you have it, folks. That's your matchup for the Vikings and Eagles this week. Hopefully, we gave you some advice. Hopefully, we steered you in the right direction. Our biggest question there was Devontae Smith. Hope we were able to clear up some of those questions for you. Gentlemen, before I let you go today, we have one more segment, and I loved it. Jacob and I had so much fun with it last week, and I'm going to give it to you guys right now. This is called Listen to Your Gut. We talked all episode about start-sit decisions, right? You're starting this guy over this guy over that guy. Well, listen to your gut. I'm going to put you on the clock. I'll put it up to the screen. You have 25 seconds. Yes, we're playing Family Feud rules here, folks. I'm giving you 25 seconds, and I'm going to give you 5 different start-sit questions. Your job is to answer them as quickly as you can. It's called Listen to Your Gut. You guys ready?
Let's go.
Both of you are playing. No, both of you are playing.
We're playing together at the same time.
Yeah, same time. Just say who you want. Listen to your gut. I got to get through them quick because you only got 25 seconds. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
You start after I name the first start sit. Okay?
Let's go.
Here you go. I got to get my thumb ready, and then I'll turn it around. Let's see. Josh Jacobs, running back for Las Vegas at Arizona, or Devin Singletary over in Tennessee?
Singletary.
Singletary. I'll take
Khalil Herbert at Green Bay, or Devin Singletary?
I like
Devin
Herbert.
Singletary.
Singletary. I liked Herbert though, but Singletary.
You're running out of time. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver for the New York Jets at Cleveland, or Jacoby Myers at Pittsburgh.
Garrett Wilson.
Wilson.
Chase Edmonds, running back for the Miami Dolphins at Baltimore, or James Robinson versus Indianapolis.
Who was the first one?
Chase Edmonds.
Edmonds.
James Robinson.
Edmonds.
Cleveland defense against the Jets, or the Pittsburgh Steelers versus New England.
Give me
Jets.
Cleveland.
Who's playing the Jets? Cleveland.
Cleveland it is. It only took you 45 seconds, but there was two of you. It was supposed to be 25, but there you have it. Another listen to your gut. I can't wait to clip those. I think they're going to be fun. But yeah.
Guys, let me ask you one question before we go. You start two of these guys. No, this is a personal question. I want to ask you. Start two of these guys.
Off the record.
Off the record. You just got to start two of these guys. Mike Williams. I think this is relevant, right? Because it's tomorrow. This is a scenario I'm dealing with. So I'd like to take everybody's feedback. You got to start two of these guys. You got Gio. I'm going to throw Najee in this list too. You got
God.
Mike Williams, Bateman, Gibson.
Wait, who? Bateman?
Bateman, Mike Williams. So Bateman killed it last week. Mike Williams.
Is it PPR? Is it full PPR?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Continue.
Gibson and Najee. I have these are flex spots, so I can pick any two.
I'd have to look up who Rashad Bateman is playing, and if it's a juicy matchup,
Bateman versus Miami.
He's going against Byron Jones and Xavier Howard.
Yeah,
I'm going Mike Williams, Antonio Gibson.
Yes, I was going to go Mike Williams.
Go ahead, Gio.
Mike Williams and Antonio Gibson.
So Gibson over Najee for both of you.
Yep.
So dude, I went Mike Williams, and I was really debating about Najee until look, and I want to start Gibson. I really do. It hurts me to leave him on the bench because I think he's good. But how do you bench Najee Harris? How do you bench Najee? You just can't. Come on.
Well, I mean, based on where you drafted him,
it hurts.
Play him, but you asked me. I didn't draft Najee in any league, so I'm gonna go with. Yeah. But I mean, you have to factor where you drafted these players. So
fair enough. Thank you guys for playing along.
And that was our last segment. Joe's own start sit. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on today. You can find Joe at what Instagram handle?
Joseph916 Cards.
All things card collecting, basketball, football, UFC, I think now. Yeah. No baseball, though. Get that out of here. Gio, where can we find you?
YouTube, Apocalypse Movies every Tuesday with my buddies, and Fandom United. That's my solo channel. And Twitter at Fandom United 21.
Awesome. And you can find First Round Fantasy here if you're watching us, Facebook or Twitter at firstroundfantasy.com. We thank you so much for stopping in today. Thank you. We appreciate you all. If we gave you fantasy football advice today and we got it right, maybe some of those start sit questions that we got in the chat, if we got it right, you got to like and subscribe. It's just part of the deal. And if you didn't get it right, and we're sorry for that, you got to come back next week and give us another chance so we can get it right. And then you can like and subscribe then. With that being said, we always like to end with a hot take here. I don't know who wants to take it away. It has to be juicy. It has to be hot. Gentlemen, who's going to give me the hot take? And don't say it yet. I got to know who's going. By the way, Star Drew, we see you out there, man. Thanks for showing hardcore love tonight. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll give a hot take. Sure.
Perfect. Whenever you're ready, man, let's hear it. With pride, baby. With pride.
All right. At the end of week 2, Trey Lance will be a top 5 QB.
At the end of week 2?
Yeah.
But so you're saying this week he finishes as a top 5 QB?
Yeah.
Joe,
top 5 QB performance.
Joe, say the same exact thing, but with more expression, because we got to end it like that. So say it again, but with more expression. Joe it up.
Me?
or
no, I'm saying Joe. Joe it up. Joe Gio's comment up, because he said it very bland. I need it up.
Gio, say it again, bro. Give us some energy.
Give us some energy.
At the end of week 2 of the NFL season, Trey Area is going to be in the top 5 QB for fantasy.
I want to add on to that. Debo and Ayuk, both top 15 options this week, baby. Let's go.
I should not have ended with that. Peace.